Welcome to everyone who picked pile number one. It's been a while. I brought a topic that's a little different from our usual love and relationship readings. We are almost halfway through the year already, and I'm sure a lot of you are dealing with various worries, whether it's about your career, family, relationships, or just life in general. That's why today's topic is the thing you're worrying about right now. Is it yes or no? I'd like to frame your question in a way that can be answered with a simple yes or no, but try to phrase it positively rather than negatively. For example, instead of asking, is my business going to keep failing? It's much better to ask, is my business going to succeed moving forward? Also, for today's reading, instead of asking emotional questions about someone else, like does he or does she miss me, try to put yourself as the subject and ask about the direction of the relationship. Keep the focus on you. And remember, since this is a general reading, sometimes the exact yes or no answer might not perfectly match the detailed reading. If that happens, it usually means the way you framed the question was a bit off. So focus more on the overall reading itself. Okay, let me walk you through the cards first. The first card is going to give us the direct yes or no answers. And we are using the Bellini deck for this. The next row shows your current situation, followed by where things are headed if you stay on this path. The row after that will show the hidden risk or obstacles you might be missing. And finally, we'll look at the advice card. So for the initial answer, I looked at Bellini card and it's showing a really strong yes. But it's not just about simply getting what you want. It looks more like whatever issue or situation you're holding in your heart is about to come to light. Things that were hidden will be revealed. You will get the answers you've been waiting for, or you will get a very clear response from someone. If this is about love, the other person's intention or the direction of the relationship will become crystal clear. If it's about work or business, it means your output or your ability will finally be recognized. So, this card is a powerful yes. That means stepping into the light, being seen, and getting validation. Now, moving on to the second row. Okay, what's going on here? I thought we were off to a great start with that yes, but seeing this second row makes me think your current situation might be pretty tough right now. To sum up this row, it basically means everything is eventually coming out into the open. Looking at the Five of Coins in the tower, whatever your question was, it feels like you're going through a really rough patch at the moment. Maybe you're dealing with unexpected changes, your plans have completely fallen apart, or a relationship got cut off, or you're under a lot of financial pressure. It feels like you're carrying a heavy emotional burden. But the interesting part is the center card, the Three of Cups. This means that even in the middle of this chaos, you're not alone. There are people around you, you have support, or at least a good exchange of information. And honestly, even though things are hard, it looks like you're doing a pretty good job of keeping up appearance. People around you might not even realize how much you're struggling. If this is a love reading, this could point a third party energy. Either way, you are not completely isolated here. Then we have the Seven of Swords, representing your current problem. There could be hidden information, missing facts, people avoiding things, walking on the eggshells, or playing things strategically. It doesn't necessarily mean someone is scamming or lying to you, but rather that you don't have the full picture yet. Not all the cards are on the table. Finally, the Five of Wands connects back to the Three of Cups. Like I said earlier, whatever you're stressing over, it's not just a you problem. You're not the only factor here. The Five of Wands is a very loud, chaotic energy. lots of interference, competition, clashes, and conflicts. It might be people. Now, because you have so much on your mind, this could represent an internal conflict. But personally, I'm feeling a lot more external noise here. For example, if it's a relationship issue, it's not just between you and your partner. A third party might be involved. And that doesn't always mean another romantic interest. It could be, parents or kids or friends, you know, just people around you. If it's a work issue, the problem might not be the work itself, but the people you work with or maybe competing companies. If you run a business, it could be issue with your employees or associates. I'm really starting to see the story for pile number one. The reality of this worry you're dealing with is eventually going to come to light and get sorted out. Also, some of you watching this might be in a position where external circumstances are telling you to go this way, like one way, but your head desperately wants to go another way. That's why you're hurting. Your mind and your heart are completely out of sync. Okay, so let me give you examples so you can understand better. Um, okay, let's say you have a stable day job, but deep down, you really want to be a YouTuber. So your friends, the people around you are completely against it, saying it makes no sense. And you know it too. You know that YouTube is much more unstable path and that staying at your job is the smarter choice. But your heart just keep pulling you toward the other option. You get the idea? But look at the third row. This tells us the outcome of the situation. And the first card is the Ace of Coins. The Ace of Coins means something tangible is manifesting. It's a very practical, realistic card. Whatever you're worrying about, even if it felt like you're stuck in a fog, a real solid opportunity is coming your way. This includes offers, contracts, new relationship, money, or tangible result. Connecting this back to the example I just used, remember this is just an example. So apply it to your own situation. Say you want to be a YouTuber, right? But suddenly, your current job offers you a big promotion with a massive raise. Because of that solid offer, you might naturally think like, you know what, I'm good on YouTube. I'll stick with this job. So it brings a very clean, clear message. Or maybe you get an opportunity to become a part-time content creator without having to quit your day job. And what else? If it's a relationship question, you want to get back with your ex, but suddenly someone much better comes into your life. So naturally, you start dating this new person, and the old worry just fades away. Or your ex comes back and gives you a clear answer, like, I've sorted out my situation and, ended things with the other people. I want to be with you again. You get the idea, right? Because this is a general reading and everyone's words are different, I cannot give you one exact answer. But the point is, a practical opportunity to solve your current problem is on its way to you. The important part is that you have to grab it. If the ace is the seed, the empress represents abundance. This means it's not just a passing opportunity. It has massive potential to grow. We are talking about expansion, stability, and seeing the fruits of your labor. And the final card is the Magician. This card is crucial here. It means that ultimately you have to make this a reality. This is not something that will just be handed on you on a silver platter, and time alone won't fix it. This outcome will be created through your own choice and actions. Okay, going back to the career example, you take the promotion and the raise instead of doing YouTube. But it doesn't stop there. You push forward and eventually you can become the CEO. You don't just stop at the initial opportunity. You expand, you grow, and you make it even better. If it's a love, you start dating that new person and it goes so well that you end up marrying them. So, outcome is incredibly positive. When you look at the whole picture, yes, your current situation is messy and unpleasant. You don't know what to believe, and things are not going according to plan. But this chaos won't last forever. The answer will reveal itself, and if you seize the opportunity, it leads to a beautiful outcome. Now, I want to tell you this. That positive outcome might actually be in a direction you are not even considering right now. What I mean is, you might have your heart set on path A, but the best opportunity is actually waiting for you on path B. When a new practical situation or offer comes up, even if it's not the direction you originally planned, go where the opportunity is. A new possibility is coming. And it's not just a passing phase, it has incredibly room for growth. So when it arrives, grab it, nurture it, drive it forward, because the result looks amazing. Whatever question you ask today, you got a yes. Even if the path with the opportunity is a path you previously gave up on, ignored, or didn't think you wanted, the final answer is still a yes. It could turn out so much better than you think. Catch that opportunity and don't stay stuck in one place, just spinning your wheels with worry, okay? So, next, I pull card for the hidden risk you need to watch out for. But honestly, the cards came out surprisingly positive. For this specific flow, think of this less a bad thing and more like traps that could ruin a good thing. The key card suggests the answer is already right next to you, but you keep looking for it somewhere else, or you're actively ignoring the opportunity. Remember the Seven of Swords from earlier? Right now, you might have a lot of doubt in your mind. You feel like you still need to find out more, or it's too early to make a decision. Honestly, you might already know the answer deep down, but you're ignoring it while continuing to worry. This is a classic case of missing the solution that's right in front of your face. Look closely at your own heart and your surroundings. The opportunity is already here. The second card is the Sun, but I want to focus a bit more on the shadow side of this card. It's a warning against overconfidence, rushing to assume the outcome, or letting your guard down. Your overall energy flow is excellent, but just because things look good doesn't mean you should go in completely unprepared. And finally, we have the moon. It's funny because both the sun and the moon came out together. Um, this tells me that within this pile, some of you are overly optimistic, thinking like, oh, this is 100% going to work out. And while others are incredibly pessimistic, thinking like, everything is going to rain. Both of these mindset extremes are traps. Don't fall into them. To wrap this up, the clue to the solution or the opportunity itself is already very close to you. But you are either busy looking for a different answer or you're so sure of a specific outcome that you're just running a fantasy scenario in your head and missing the important details. Also, if you are emotional mood swings or anxiety gets too high, you might start believing the worst case scenario in your head rather than the realistic sign in front of you. It's vital to guard against both blind optimism and anxiety. Lastly, let's look at your final advice card. They tie perfectly into everything we just talked about. Like I mentioned, I know a lot of you are going through a confusing, difficult time right now. You're already right in the middle of the storm. And notice the purple color here? This means the storm is happening inside of you rather than the outside. Your emotions are fluctuating wildly, bouncing back and forth between certainty and anxiety. There's too much overthinking, which is making you indecisive. But one of the beautiful meanings of this oracle is that universe is shifting your direction. Storms always pass. When it comes to accepting your current situation, it feels like the internal process of accepting it is actually harder than the situation itself. But this will pass. The fertility card is also very interesting. We saw the Empress earlier, right? Which represent abundance. And now we have a very similar energy. The sequence is beautiful too, coming right after the storm card. It's just like a nature. The storm passes, the earth gets soaked, and new life begins to grow. The chaos you're experiencing right now is simply making room for a new opportunity, a new phase, and a brand new chapter. So, whatever worry is weighing heavily on you right now, this confusion will pass and you will face a completely new chapter. Don't worry too much. Keep a positive mindset and make sure you grab the opportunity when it comes. You're going to see results that are even better than you imagine. That's all I have for pile number 1 today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye! Welcome to everyone who picked pile number 2. It's been a while, right? Today, I brought a topic that's a little different from our usual love and relationship readings. We are almost halfway through the year already, and I'm sure a lot of you are dealing with various worries, whether it's about your career, relationship, family, or just the life in general. That's why today's topic is the thing you're worrying about right now, is it yes or no? I'd like to frame your question in a way that can be answered with a simple yes or no, but try to phrase it positively rather than negatively. For example, instead of asking, is my business going to keep failing? It's much better to ask, like, is my business going to succeed? Also, for today's reading, instead of asking emotional question about someone else, like, does he miss me? Does she miss me? Try to put yourself as the subject and ask about the direction of the relationship. Keep the focus on you. And remember, since this is a general reading, sometimes the exact yes or no might not match the detailed reading. If that happens, it usually means the way you framed the question was a bit off, so focus more on the overall reading itself. Okay, let me walk you through the card first. The first card is going to give us direct yes or no answer, and we are using the Bellini deck for this. The next row shows your current situation, followed by where things are headed if you stay on this path. The row after that will show the hidden risk you might be missing, and finally we'll look at the advice card. So the first Bellini card is giving us the direct yes or no answer. And for your question, the answer is a yes. But in terms of energy, it's a very steady, grounded kind of yes. This card is not about dramatic showdown. Instead, it's about conflicting coming to an end, tension easing up, and balance being restored. It's a card of reconciliation and compromise. So, whatever your question is, and whatever choice you make down the road, the main point is that thing will eventually settle into a peaceful, stable place. Now, let's look at your current situation in the second row. The first card here is the Wheel of Fortune. It feels like you're standing at a major turning point right now. Either the situation itself is transitioning or the overall tide is shifting, and things are starting to look very different from the past. A previous chapter has closed and you've entered a whole new phase. But this is not a stagnant energy. You're actively trying to build this new chapter. But here's the thing. there's some pain involved. Even though you are in a new phase, there's a lingering disappointment, rejection, regret, betrayal, or lingering attachment from the past. Maybe someone genuinely hurt you or you hurt someone, but it could also just mean that things didn't turn out the way you expected. This current shifted reality was not exactly what you had hoped for. Right in the middle, we have the devil, and we need to look at this card through a broader lens. Since everyone watching has a different questions, I cannot put this into one single box. But the core theme is that you are forcing yourself to hold on to something. There's a lot of fear inside you, so even though the situation is not healthy, you're too afraid to walk away from it. Okay, let me give you an example so you can understand better. Let's say you are in a toxic relationship. Things are not good with your partner. And with the Three of Swords here, maybe you've both hurt each other and you haven't been good for one another. Logically, you know this is not right, but you just can't seem to break free. The reason could be anything. Maybe you become codependent, maybe it's the fear of being alone, or maybe there are practical ties that you just can't cut right now. But what I'm strongly feeling is that deep down you already know. You know that whatever situation you're questioning today is not making you happy. It's painful and draining. In your heart of heart, you know it's bad for you, but you are stuck. What's fascinating is that the magician came out right next to it. Now, the magician is a highly capable figure. He has options, he takes initiative, and he has the power to act. And honestly, the magician also carries this strong player or cheater energy. So some of you might actually be dealing with the infidelity or cheating issue in your relationship. But anyway, when paired with the devil, it means you do have the actual power to move. You just have to pull the trigger, whatever that looks like. But you are keeping yourself tied up. Let me give you another example. Let's say you have a stable job, but you secretly want to quit and start your own business. You can absolutely do it. The magician has the skill set for it. You're fully capable, and all you have to do is just start. But because you're consumed by fear, you just stay at your boring job, endlessly overthinking it. That's the kind of context we're looking at here. If you look at why you're keeping yourself stuck like this, it's because what you really want deep down is not some massive, risky happiness. I think you really want stability, tangible security, and realistic outcomes. You're that kind of person. For instance, instead of chasing a sudden jackpot, you'd rather have a steady, predictable income or reliable result. If you're talking about a person, you're looking for a stable, committed relationship. You value sustainability. You're not the type to blindly chase a short term desire. You want something that will last. So, going back to the example I used earlier, because you crave that stability and sustainability, you choose to stay put, even if your current job or situation feels mind numbing and restrictive, because it's safe. Your hurt is actually pulling you in a completely different direction, but you refuse to move from where you are. But here's the irony. As most of you know, the devil is not a card of health or true well being. So, ironically, the very thing you believe is safe and stable might actually be toxic and unstable in reality. Try to apply this to your own life and see where it lands. Next, let's see the outcome of your question. We have strength, the Ten of Coins, and Seven of Cups. The strength can be interpreted a bit differently depending on the context. But on emotional level, it's about suppression and endurance. It's about wanting to reach out but holding back, or wanting to do something but restraining yourself. This ties right back into the second row, doesn't it? It feels like you're currently enduring a lot of silent pressure. But remember how we just talked about your desire for stability? Look at the Ten of Coins. As an outcome, this is phenomenal card. It's the ultimate card for what you want to achieve. If this is about a relationship, it's the marriage card, a stable family. If it's about business, it means getting firmly established and making great money. Connecting this to the previous row, it shows that long term stability and sustainable success are completely within your reach. Your abilities are enough to achieve something real, build a solid foundation, and make it last. But there is a one crucial thing I want to point out here. Let's build on the career example from earlier. So, if you are a day job and you might be asking me, okay, then are you saying I shouldn't do what I love and I should just stay in this boring but secure spot? Is this where I belong? No, absolutely not. That stability and success might actually be waiting for you in the place you haven't chosen yet. The reason I'm telling you that this card doesn't mean stay where you are, because the next card is the Seven of Cups. While this is often known as a card of confusion or illusion, in this specific position, it means you have options. The doors are wide open. It's telling you that you need to explore different paths. Right now, whatever situation you're in, you might be trapping yourself in an either or mindset. But this card shows that it's not just about one door opening. There are multiple possibilities available to you. It means you can chase the person, the direction, or the situation you truly desire and still achieve the ultimate stable and sustainable outcome. The Ten of Coin is the highest number in the suit of wealthy and stability. I'm sure many of you tuned into this reading looking for a crystal clear answer. For pile number two, I see a lot of people who are experiencing a massive gap between their current reality and their ideals. And many of you are likely trapped in a situation that doesn't necessarily make you happy, but it offers a stable foundation or decent condition that are hard to let go of. So you keep wondering, is it right to pursue my dream? But to do that, you have to break out of what you already have. And it feels like a waste to throw it away. Or maybe you just lack the courage, or there are heavy practical reasons holding you back. That's why, just like Seven of Cups, a lot of you are stuck in your head, just fantasizing and imagining what if. But the outcome shown in this card is incredibly positive. So let's look closer at the clues to see what you actually need to choose. The hidden risk should give us a clear picture. Okay, looking at the obstacles, the first card is a snake. Wow. A lot of you must be feeling incredibly suffocated by your current situation. Honestly, I'm seeing strong sign of a third party or betrayal issue here, or maybe a scam or broken trust. If this is about a group of friends, it looks like jealousy, or it could be competition. But the main keyword for this card is complexity. It's warning you about hidden variables. No matter what choice you make, unexpected twists might pop up. Things are not going to flow in simple, straightforward line. So you need to go in knowing that there will be complications along the way. The second card is the Star. While most people know this as a card of hope, when it appears as an obstacle, it represents over idealization. It's telling you to drop the excessive expectation and unrealistic wishful thinking. Let's connect this to earlier example. Let's say you're stuck in a unhappy relationship, but you are harboring false hope. You tell yourself, with time, things will get better, or my partner will dramatically change and we'll finally have the dream relationship. That never happens. The cards are warning you to be very careful with that kind of delusion. And finally, we have the fish. The fish can represent greedy self, but it also points to highly practical resources like money, wealth, or structural security in a relationship. The trap here is that by blindly chasing this material security, you might end up worse. In other words, over prioritizing safety and stability can actually become your biggest risk. Since this is a general reading, everyone's situation will vary, but try to apply this warning to your specific question. It will make a lot of sense. Lastly, let's look at your advice card. This is very gentle, yet profoundly deep combination. With Divinity card, there are two main messages I want to give you. The first one is there is a much larger flow at play than what you can understand right now. This issue shouldn't be looked at simply as good or bad, yes or no, or right versus wrong. It feels like the universe is steering you in a specific direction, and that path carries a massive, deeper purpose. Don't look for answers within your pain, your attachment, your anxious imagination. Take a step back and see a full picture. This card also represents intuition, not an anxious emotional impulse, but a quiet, clear inner knowing. Learn to separate the thoughts born from your anxiety from the deep truth you feel in your gut. The second message is to always choose love over fear. Whatever your situation or relationship looks like right now, make sure you proceed only from a place of love, including loving yourself. Look deep into your true heart and follow it. Next, we have the nature card. This is a highly grounded, practical card, and it's telling you do not force things. Trust the natural speed of growth. This issue is not something you can force a conclusion out of right this second. Things will naturally become clear with time, especially since your initial Bellini card was peace, and your outcome cards were strength and 10 of coins. We are dealing with a very slow moving energy here. Building your foundation slowly and steadily is going to work much better for you than trying to force a quick victory. Whichever path you choose, don't demand the immediate result. Right now, the more you try to anxiously control the situation, the more tangled it will get. If you just leave it alone, it will settle into a stable place on its own. If this is about person, don't try to force them or the situation to move. If it's about career or money, instead of demanding immediate, massive payouts, keep an eye on the situation and wait it out for a bit. If it's a matter of making choice, stop calculating and look toward the direction that brings genuine peace to your body and mind. The message is incredibly clear. Choose the path that brings you true peace of mind. If you do that, no matter what choice you make, you will unlock the stable and abundant outcome we saw earlier. That's all I have for pile number 2 today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye! Welcome to everyone who picked pile number 3. It's been a while, right? I brought a topic that's a little different from our usual love and relationship reading. We are almost halfway through the year already, and I'm sure a lot of you are dealing with various worries, whether it's about your career, family, relationships, or just life in general. That's why today's topic is the thing you're worrying about right now is a yes or no. I'd like to frame your question in a way that can be answered with a simple yes or no, but try to phrase it positively. For example, instead of asking, is my business going to keep failing? It's much better to ask, is my business going to succeed? Also, for today's reading, instead of asking emotional questions about someone else, like does he miss me? Does she miss me? Try to put yourself as the subject and ask about the direction of the relationship. That's better. So keep the focus on you. And remember, since this is a general reading, sometimes the exact yes or no answer might not perfectly match the detailed reading. If that happens, it usually means the way you framed the question was a bit off, so focus more on the overall reading itself. Okay, let me walk you through the card first. The first card is going to give us a direct yes or no answer, and we are using the Bellini deck for this. The next row shows your current situation, followed by where things are headed if you stay on this path. The row after that will show the hidden risk or obstacles you might be missing. And finally, we'll look at the advice card. Alright, so looking at the first row for your direct yes or no answer, I pulled the Bellini card and we got card number 45. This is fundamentally a yes. Wow, everyone's energy today is amazing. I haven't seen a single no yet. This is a pile 3, right? Now this Bellini card represents happiness, joy, and satisfaction. But the important detail here is that it speaks more to subjective, personal satisfaction rather than objective, conventional success. So this might not be a result that makes everyone around you jealous, and it might not be the most glamorous choice. But this strongly shows a flow where you find the answer is genuinely right for you. Let's move on to the second row to look at your current situation. Since everyone's situation is different, just apply this to your own story. First of all, the strongest energy coming through right now is the Hermit. This tells me that you are currently deep in thought. You're overthinking, observing the problem from all angles, holding off on making a final choice, and being extremely cautious. You're trying to find the answers all on your own, without anyone's help. If this is a love reading, this is a period where you're asking yourself, what do I want? Rather than wondering, what is the other person thinking? And if it's about career, you're asking, what do I truly want to do? Instead of just looking at, where should I go? The Knight of Coin pairs so well with the Hermit. Personally, I'm a bit impatient, so it's not my absolute favorite card, but it represents a very careful, stable, and responsible energy. However, its speed is incredibly slow. Whichever worry you have right now, it looks like you're pushing impulse aside, reviewing things slowly, and trying to move based on practical conditions. You're trying to make mature judgment without letting your emotions get the best of you. But the shadow side of this card is that you might be hiding your feelings too much. You have so many thoughts and emotions inside, but on the outside, you are acting perfectly calm and collected. If this is about relationship, you might even try to detach yourself, even though you still have feelings. And this is where the choice appears, the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands brings a keyword like future planning, the next step, expansion, and choice. From what I see, you're standing right on the threshold of making a choice. You haven't started moving yet, but you are in the phase of figuring out which path to take. Honestly, for pile number 3, it feels like a lot of you are torn between two specific options, rather than just worrying about a general situation. You're standing at a literal crossroads, and I feel like a good number of you are looking at this for relationship or interpersonal issue. Now, look at this. The first four cards are incredibly slow moving, right? They are cautious, sitting down, thinking, watching. But the final card is Eight of Wands, which is very fast, and it's clarified by the Eight of Cups. What just happened here? Uh, Compared to how long you've been overthinking this, the conclusion seems to be coming incredibly fast. In fact, haven't some of you already made up your mind? I bet a lot of you are watching this even though you already know what you're going to do. Uh, to sum this up, whatever your worry or situation is, a problem that you've only been thinking about for a long time has finally entered the active phase of movement. If this is a relationship issue, it could mean letting go of the old way of doing things, completely restructuring how you connect. If it's about work, it might mean walking away from your current role or company. If it's a business, you're pivoting away from your old strategy. The common thread here is that, as bittersweet as it is, the core point is changing your established way of doing things. If there was an obsession, you're letting it go. If you have to make a choice, it looks like you're weighing things logically, despite have feelings, and you're choosing to walk away from the emotional side to pursue the practical path. Connecting this back to the 45 Bellini card at the top, it seems like many of you are choosing a path where you find happiness, not by gaining something new, but by letting something go. Does it make sense? What could you be worrying about? The energy of pile number 3 feels quite cautious and a bit heavy. Let's move to the next row and look at the future outcome of your question. This is really interesting. Whatever this worry or situation is, it seems to have made your inner self quite detached and stoic. First, the Page of Wands represent a spark of new inspiration. No matter what choice you make, looking at the future outcome, a new possibility will open up, and you will start seeing a new direction. But if you're asking if it's completely stable yet, not quite. It's more of a starting point where you think, hey, this might actually be worth a shot. The page carries a bit of a immature energy, You've started, but you might be a little inexperienced. And while you have the passion, the stamina might be a bit lacking at first. But the fact that the King of Swords came out right in the center of the outcome is very significant. When this card appears, logic and reason completely override emotion. Your criteria becomes, is this right? Is this rational? Rather than, do I like this or hate this? As a result, things become much clearer for you. Anything that was ambiguous gets completely sorted out. Let me give you an example so you can understand better. Let's say you are a musician. You have the passion. You love what you do. But you start looking at things realistically. You think, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to get a stable corporate job. So you put your passion and affection on the side, make a cold, realistic judgment, become an office worker. Looking at the outcome, at first, you feel pretty good about your choice. Corporate life is actually kind of fun, you adapt well, and it feels manageable. You feel like you can adjust and live this way. But the King of Swords is a deeply detached card. It looks at reality, not emotions. Because you're constantly weighing stability, conditions, and efficiency, your true heart can get pushed to the side. And the Seven of Swords in this position can make you hide your real feeling and true desire. On the surface, you tell everyone you're fine, but underneath, you might spend your life constantly dreaming of completely different path. You get the idea? Okay. Now, if we interpret this in a positive light, it means you genuinely become a practical, sharp individual. Even while working that corporate job, you act independently, make strategic choices, and explore other good possibilities and new directions solely for your own advancement. You know, as a reader, I read the card as they are, but I also pick up on the specific energy or gut feelings that pop up in the moment. And I'm sitting here wondering, why isn't this outcome feeling completely joyful? For instance, if this is a love issue, there are absolutely people here torn between option A and option B. Looking at the second row, some of you are definitely choosing reality and logic over the person your heart is pulled toward, and looking at the outcome of the choice. At first, it feels fine. You feel like you made the correct adult decision. But as time goes on, because you chose conditions, practical things over raw emotions, you might find yourself constantly trying to validate your choice to yourself. You will keep telling yourself, like, this was the right call. Realistically, this is the right person for me. You're constantly justifying your own decision. And in relationship, the Seven of Swords can be pretty tricky card. In a healthier scenario, even if your heart wavers sometimes, you will actively fight to protect the relationship. But if it goes the other way, it means you carry those unresolved emotions deep inside, keeping them secret and living a double life. Now, I don't necessarily read the outcome combination as a pure regret, but because emotion is so heavily stripped out of it, it's hard to call it a traditionally blissfully happy state. But the irony is that the very first Bellini card gave us a happiness. So while this choice is ultimately the right one for you, long term well being, it's not a widely ecstatic, emotional kind of happiness. It looks more like um, quiet contentment of someone who made the choice that was fundamentally right for them. You know what I mean? It shows a strong probability that you will build your own version of happiness within the choice. Make sure to take what resonates for your specific situation because pile number three feels like a very particular group of people. Let's move on and look at the hidden risk. All three cards that came out here carry a lot of weight. The lily naturally represent long-standing things, stability, calm composures. But as an obstacle, it suggests you might be enduring something for far too long or suppressing your true desire under the guise of needing to be mature. It can also mean being trapped by an old way of doing things, a family sense of security, or a long term relationship, or structure that you've outgrown. This ties right back into your tendency to prioritize the stability and reality that we saw in the second row. Honestly, I feel like many of you have already chosen that path or firmly made up on your mind, right? Which is why the cards aren't mirroring. Next card is fish. Fish represent money, resources, and practical conditions, abundance. But since it's in the obstacle position, it means material conditions or cold practical calculations are actually working against you. It's a warning not to overcalculate. Don't base your choice entirely on conditions like, will this give me more leverage or would it be a waste to lose this? Finally, we have the bear. The bear represents strength, protection, influence, authority, an overwhelming energy. When this shows up as an obstacle, Honestly, it points to the heavy influence of someone else or something else. While it's great that you are trying to protect your own power, it's warning not to become overly defensive or rigid. It could also mean the money, family, superior, someone more powerful than you, like parent figure, or what else? Like a controlling structure is dictating your life. It's telling you to look back and make sure this choice is truly coming from you. Is it? And not being forced upon you by an influential figure or external pressure. To wrap it up, your heart is already in motion and you're very close to a conclusion. Some of you have already made your choice and the direction is set. I originally prepared this yes or no reading to help you solve the problem, but now I'm a bit worried that this reading might actually give you more to think about. Okay, let's look at the two oracle cards for the crucial advice. It's a home and tapestry. In this sacred symbol oracle, home is not just a physical house, it's not a place. It represents your true alignment, your authentic self, the state of being where you can breathe completely easy. You know how home is originally the one place where you can fully unwind and just be completely free. The cards are telling you to walk that path. Don't choose the path that just looks good to others. Choose the path where your body and mind feel truly at peace. The core metric for this issue should be how much genuine safety and security you feel. Whether it's a relationship, a job, money, or, choice. If it forces you to constantly be on guard, hide parts of yourself, and anxiously endure, then that is not home. Also, this card is green, which is the ultimate color of healing. It feels like you've been so hard on yourself and have been able to properly nurture your heart while standing at this crossroads. Please give yourself some grace and hold yourself gently. And the tapestry card is a symbol of multiple threads weaving together to create one single beautiful picture. Right now, you might only be looking at one isolated piece of the puzzle, but your past experience, your current worries, and your future choices are all connecting into one grand design. So don't view this immediate moment simply as a success or failure. Instead, try to see what meaning this choice and experience will hold for your life as a whole. The tapestry card specifically shows up to remind us that things that seem like mere coincidences are actually deeply connected later on. Return to the direction where you feel truly at peace. Trust that your current choice is just a single thread in the massive tapestry of your life. If you have to make a choice right now that forces you to let go of one specific thing, remember, sometimes that one single thread needs to come out so the entire picture can be finished beautifully. That's all I have for pile number 3. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye! Welcome to everyone who picked pile number 4. Today, I brought a topic that's a little different from our usual love and relationship reading. We are almost halfway through the year already, and I'm sure a lot of you are dealing with various worries, whether it's about your career, job, family, relationship, or just life in general. That's why today's topic is the thing you're worrying about right now. Is it yes or no? I'd like you to frame your question in a way that can be answered with a simple yes or no, but try to phrase it positively. For example, instead of asking, is my business going to keep failing? It's much better to ask, is my business going to succeed? Also, for today's reading, instead of asking emotional questions about someone else like, does he miss me? Does she miss me? try to put yourself as the subject and ask about the direction of the relationship. That's better. And keep the focus on you. And remember, since this is a general reading, sometimes the exact yes or no answer might not perfectly match the detailed reading. If that happens, it usually means the way you framed the question was a bit off, so focus more on the overall reading itself. Okay, let me walk you through the card first. The first card is going to give us direct yes or no answer, and we are using Bellini deck for this. The next row shows your current situation, followed by where things are headed if you stay on this path. The row after that will show the hidden risk you might be missing, and finally, we'll look at the advice card. Looking at today's reading overall, we are not getting any no's. This is powerful, right? This pile gave us a yes. But honestly, out of all the groups, pile number 4 feels like it's going through the hardest time. I know people tune into this reading because they have heavy worries, but you guys seem the most mentally exhausted. You're carrying so much on your shoulders. Looking at your first Bellini card, like I said, it's a yes, but it comes with a condition. It's a yes, only if you get help. If you try to pull through this completely alone, this card could actually turn into a no. This card signifies support, assistance, a pillar to lean on, a reliable foundation. This is not an issue you can solve just by gritting your teeth and enduring it by yourself. You need to receive practical support to get the yes. Whatever your specific question or situation is, don't just sit on it alone. Seek advice from someone. Reach out to family or friends or make use of valuable systems or resources. That's the only way you're going to break through this. Now, let's look at your current situation in the second row. So the dominant energy here is the moon. Having the moon show up this strongly means you are not seeing the problem clearly right now. Instead, you are being overwhelmed by the anxiety, emotional turbulence, confusion, and fear that the situation is triggering. In reality, the situation itself might not be as bad as you think it is, but because you're completely in the dark, you're anxious. You don't know how it's going to pan out. If this is a relationship, you don't know where the other person stands. If it's a practical worry, you're terrified of the future. If it's a choice, you lack the confidence to know if you're making the right call. And right after that, we see the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands is the ultimate card of carrying too heavy burden. You might just be someone who carries a lot of responsibility in daily life regardless of this issue, but it feels like this specific worry is adding a massive amount of physical, mental, emotional weight onto you. The pressure is intense. You cannot see an inch in front of you. Yet you're being crushed by immediate responsibilities, tasks, pressure, because you're taking on everything and trying to handle it all without knowing where you're headed. I can feel an underlying sense of resentment from this energy. Like, you're thinking, why do I have to deal with all of this? On top of that, your third card, right in the center, is a strength. This is a literal depiction of you desperately trying to hold yourself together so you don't collapse. You're barely hanging on, forcing a smile, pretending everything is fine. And honestly, is there something you're deeply afraid of? Beyond just a regular anxiety, I'm picking up a very strong wave of genuine fear. Because of that fear, it makes the total sense that Knight of Swords shows up right after. As many of you know, Knight of Swords is an impulsive, rushing energy. It represents a sudden decision, rapid action, and pushing forward blindly. You've been enduring and holding back for so long that your mind is screaming, I cannot do this anymore. I'm done putting up with this. But there's another side to this. You know how scared dogs bark the loudest? I'm seeing the exact psychology here. Because you have this vague, intense fear inside of your heart, this aggressive, impulsive energy suddenly flies out of nowhere as a defense mechanism. And look at the final card here, Seven of Wands. The story connects so perfectly. You're anxious because your future is completely uncertain. But when the Knight of Swords energy hits, you suddenly snap and think, screw this, I'm out, I'm quitting before they can fire me. You act on impulse. And honestly, that can lead to a pretty reckless decision. If this is a love issue, it means your relationship is likely in a really bad place right now. You don't know how they feel. You don't know where this is going, and you've been enduring this fog for a long time. But because you're so exhausted, you just force a sudden conclusion. The same goes for a choice. You don't know if option A or option B is better, so you are trying to wait it out. But because you are too tired, you just randomly pick one. Is it the right choice? It might be, it might not be. But the point is, it was incredibly rushed. So you get the idea, right? Take what applies to you. You're feeling this strong urge to take drastic action, or maybe you already have, but it hasn't brought you any peace of mind. So, whatever the case is, the common energy here is that you're walking on an eggshell, just trying to protect your territory. Let's look at the outcome of your choice. There's both a light and shadow here. First, we have the Queen of Cups. Things will get better compared to where you are now. It's not that situation magically resolves. It's more about you learning to accept and process these heavy, chaotic emotions. At first, you might not have understood why you were being so sensitive, why you couldn't let go, or why you kept getting hurt. But in the outcome, you gain a deeper understanding of your own heart. For example, if it's a love, you realize, oh, I thought it was the situation, but it wasn't. It was that I wasn't feeling safe or secure in this relationship. That kind of realization. And if it's work, you realize, oh, I thought I hate my job, but I don't hate the job itself. I hate this toxic structure where I am unrecognized and forced to carry the weight alone. You finally understand your own feelings and why. But right in the center of the outcome row, we have the Emperor. The Emperor represents structure, order, responsibility, and practical decision, and strict boundaries. He does not move based on emotion. He asks, realistically, what is the plan? Having the Queen of Cups and the Emperor sitting side by side in your outcome means that whatever choice you make, you are going to focus heavily on the rules of the relationship or the practical, hard conditions. If you're a painful relationship, you're going to set firm boundaries like, look, I love you, but I refuse to keep living like this. If it's a career issue, you're going to demand a realistic structure, clear job description, proper compensation, and a solid framework. But look at the final outcome card. It's a Five of Coins. The Five of Coins speaks to lack, isolation, and deep sense of loneliness. So, looking at the full picture, your choice will lead you to heavily prioritize reality and logic, and emotionally, you will accept the choice. But are you going to be completely satisfied? Hard to say. There is a distinct feeling of emptiness. Something is missing. Even if you make the correct choice, the cards are telling you that a certain void will remain. It's not going to be an entirely warm or fulfilling feeling. Okay, for example, in a relationship, You might decide to walk away from an unstable connection with someone you love deeply and choose more a practical, stable path instead. Realistically, that choice is probably right. From a safety standpoint, it keeps you secure. But in a corner of your heart, you will be left with this emptiness, thinking like, where did the passion and the true love I actually wanted go? The same applies to your career. You might choose a stable job with a steady income and a clear corporate structure because, as we saw in the second row, you were so anxious and terrified. So you choose guaranteed safety. Then you are hit with this nagging feeling of, what did I sacrifice for this? Now, please don't look at this outcome as a failure. Realistically, things do get sorted out. A solid structure get built, but it comes with a price. Especially when the emperor pairs up with the five of coins, there's a risk of making such a cold, logical decision that you completely abandon your own emotional needs. You end up telling yourself, this is the right way, this is safe, this is the right call, this is what I have to do. And while that might be true, your heart can slowly freeze over in that environment. In the long run, you risk losing a piece of yourself. Let's see what hidden risks or obstacles might follow this choice. Hmm, we have the mice, the dog, and snake. The mice represent a slow draining energy. It's not a sudden crash. It's a daily gradual erosion. It means your physical, emotional, or mental energy, along with your finances, are being slowly eaten away by constant worry, anxiety, and stress. If this is a relationship, it could be their words, repeated argument, or a constant disappointment slowly draining you. If it's work, it's the minor daily stress stacking up. If it's money, it's those tiny unchecked expenses or constant financial panic. The mice card is a warning not to ignore the small things. Even if they seem minor, if you let them pile up, they will eventually drain you completely. The second obstacle is the dog. The dog naturally represents loyalty, trust, friendship, and devotion. It's actually a beautiful card, but in the obstacle position, it warns against excessive loyalty or dependency. It's the mindset of, but I have to trust them. Look at everything we've been through. How can I let it go? Or, you know, I'm the one who has to take responsibility. You need to guard against this. In a relationship, you might be staying purely out of a habit, loyalty, or history, even though it's draining the life out of you. In career, your sense of obligation to the company, your team, or your colleague might be pushing you past your breaking point. In family or friendship, you might keep letting yourself get dragged down because you feel you have to help. You need to ask yourself, is my loyalty slowly destroying me? That's the question. And finally, the third obstacle is the snake. The snake represents complexity and hidden variables. It speaks to jealousy, calculation, temptation, competition, tangle dynamics, and manipulation. It means there is not just one simple obvious reason on the surface. There are multiple layers of emotions and conflicting interests that tangled up behind the scene. In relationship, it might not necessarily mean another person, but rather past baggage, trust issue, hidden lingering attachment, or completely different core desire clashing with each other. In career, it points to office politics, hidden competition, or miscommunication. To sum it up, the core warning of these obstacles is this. While you're busy enduring, trusting, and holding the line, your vital energy is leaking away. Because pile number 4 carries such a heavy, restrictive energy, I decided to do something special for you guys and pull a few extra cards. I wanted to see what would happen if you chose a completely different path from the logical, safe option you're currently leaning toward. Let's see this alternative outcome. Wow. We got the Queen of Coins, King of Wands, the King of Cups. The vibe here is completely different. And what's fascinating is that these are all court cards. If you take this path, you will completely reclaim your territory and control over your own life. I have a feeling most of you are currently favoring the safe, predictable option. But if you take a leap in a different direction, the result changes entirely. The Queen of Coin is someone with incredible practical sense. She fully weighs reality. She is not reckless. She looks at the money, the future, the responsibility, the potential loss. But right next to her, we have the King of Wands. This means that despite knowing the practical risk, there is something you truly want to pursue. This is the crux of the reading. The King of Wands says, "This is what I desire, and this is the direction I'm going to spearhead." In relationship, it means choosing the person you genuinely love, even if it's not the most practical or secure setup. In career, it means pursuing the path that you're actually passionate about, even if it lacks immediate stability. In business, it means taking the creative gamble. You see the reality, your desire is very clear. And it finishes beautifully with the King of Cups. This card is not someone who gets swept away by erratic emotion. He completely understands and manages and holds spaces for his feelings. Having the King of Cups step in right after King of Wands is incredible flow. It means you know exactly what you want and you handle the passion with emotional maturity. To compare the two, the first outcome we saw gave you stability, safety, and a practical structure, but it leaves you with a cold, lingering emptiness. This outcome, however, allows you to look reality in the eye, honor your true feeling, and manage those emotional maturely. It's a path where you get to keep both your reality and your heart. Okay, let's say your dream is to be a musician. It's obviously not the most secure path, right? So right now, you're trying to force yourself onto the safe, realistic corporate path. That choice will give you stability. But down the line, you will always carry that void, wondering what could have been, and you won't be truly happy, right? But this choice means pushing for your music. Because the Queen of Coins is there, you won't just dive in blindly. You will establish the practical safety net, maybe keeping a part time gig or building a financial cushion while keeping your dreams alive. And like the King of Cups, you will manage that journey with maturity and grace. And honestly, usually when a reading comes out, I just read it, what the cards say, and tell the choice is yours. But looking at Pile for today, I felt such a heavy, suffocating weight. The initial outcome felt so unfulfilling that I just had to know what would happen if you chose differently. And I'm so glad I checked. Now, let's look at your final advice card. I'm actually going to pull them in two separate pairs to match both paths. For those of you leaning toward that first outcome, the safe, structured path, we have earth and abundance. This is crazy because we just saw Five of Coins earlier, which is all about scarcity and focusing on what's missing. But your advice card is abundance, which is the exact opposite message. It's telling you to stop obsessing over what you lack and start to looking at what you already have. The Earth card represents reality, the body, foundation, grounding, and tangible support. It means what you need right now is to stop feeding your anxiety with the worst case scenario in your head and bring yourself back down to earth. Stop sprinting into future worries and look at your actual current assets. Look at your skills, the people who love you, your experience, and the time you have. Abundance is not about some random stroke of luck falling from the sky. It's the energy of recognizing the resources you already have and cultivating them. In a relationship, it means stop focusing solely on what your partner lacks and look at what they are giving you, or look at the stability you can provide for yourself. In career, stop staring at the opportunities you don't have yet and look at the actual skill set, track record, and network you built. And remember how your very first card? This pile is screaming at you. Do not try to carry this entire world on your back. You must build a practical support system with people, resources, or network system that can actually help you. If you've already committed to the safer direction, focus entirely on the abundance of what you currently hold. And please, when things get heavy, don't just swallow your pain. Build a strong support system around you. It's going to make all the differences. Okay, and now let's look at the advice pair for the second outcome. The path where you follow your passion and true desire. We have magic and gateway. Honestly, this is unbelievable today. How do the card line up this perfectly? The magic card points to that unexplained pull, that direction you can't stop thinking about, the thing you just can't seem to drop no matter how hard you try to let it go. It's telling you not to ignore the desire living deep inside your heart. It connects flawlessly with the King of Wands from earlier, the card that refuses to suppress what it wants. Magic is advising you. Do not wait until every single condition is flawless before you make a move. If you look only at reality and logic, you risk losing your intuition, your creativity, and your inner fire. And the gateway card is literally a porter. But here's the thing about a gateway. It means you are currently standing right at the threshold. The door is already wide open, but you are just standing there. When this card appears, it represents breaking away from what's familiar, accepting a completely new choice, shedding your old identity, and stepping right out of your comfort zone. But like I said, the energy of a gateway is standing at the entrance. If you don't actually take that action, you're never going to cross over. Stepping onto a brand new path requires a bit more courage, absolutely. But it's the only way you are going to claim what you truly want out of life. So this ended up being a much longer reading, but that's everything I have for pile number 4. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you in the next reading.